Cheers.
I like these chairs. Cool.
Not eat it.
Do that. Okay. After it's Tuesday, I guess, they're switching, like, I'm not a tech person, but they're switching stuff on here. So they're going to make me buy a $30 membership. I'm like, Spotify, we were friends. We were friends. And then here you
That's
go.
annoying.
Right?
I hate it when they make you buy subscriptions.
And this whole time.
Things.
Like, why are you doing this now? Okay. That sounds good. Can you hear me? Yeah. And then just make sure you talk. Don't want to drop that. I feel like we have to be so.
Really close, but that's okay.
Of course.
It's all good.
Okay. Check. Okay. Ready, set, go. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Motivate Her. So today I have my friend Sam back on the show, and this time you guys get to see just how freaking hot she is.
Hi, guys.
Queen. So you guys probably remember I had her on last season, and you talked about how fucking awesome and inspiring you are, and kind of told us like we heard a little bit about your life story, kind of obviously what led you to where you are today.
Right, yeah.
And then you told us about your past relationship.
Yeah.
And basically we just got a really good insight about everything that you went through, like I said.
Right, yeah.
From childhood to now.
Yes.
Whenever I went back and listened to our episode again, and whenever we were talking, you talked briefly about your childhood, but I mean, sometimes an hour is just not enough.
Yeah, it was definitely not.
So today we're gonna go back and touch base on some of that.
Cool. Yeah.
If that's cool with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we jump into that, I wanted to ask you how has life been now? How's CrossFit?
It's great. It's really, really good. We got really close to going to the games through all of the qualification processes. I was 66 spots away from going, which was really cool.
Hell yes.
So that's the closest I've ever been. So I'm gonna up training throughout this next year to hopefully get an even better position next year to hopefully make that spot.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. As you know, almost 42 years old, it's kind of weird.
You do not look 42.
Almost 42. Yeah. So I'll be 42 next month, actually in a couple weeks. So I'm pretty excited.
That is very exciting. You should celebrate fucking big. Because
Yeah.
you realize that you look the same age as me, if not younger, right? So
I thought that you were younger. A lot younger than me. I thought that you were. I do not look anywhere close to your age. So I was like, wait a minute, what? Wait, sorry. I got confused by that compliment.
I may have even said that right.
No, you did. And I was like, what? Listen, it's been a long day. Thank you so much for that compliment, for saying that I look super young.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Yes.
Because you are super young.
Well, I don't feel it, and I don't think I am, but you're so welcome. You do not look anywhere near 42. So.
Thanks. Thank you. I try not to.
It's all that badassery that you just keep doing.
But CrossFit's doing great. We got into part ownership with the guys that own the gym now, so that's pretty cool. So I'm like boots on the ground, hands-on type partnership with them. So that's really exciting. In like 3 years, I should own like 49% of the gym. So it's really exciting. Yeah.
Sam, that is fucking kick-ass.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. I love the gym. I love the people that go there, and I want to be there all the time. So it just made sense for me to kind of like step into that role. So I'm very excited.
I cannot wait. I'm so proud of you.
Training's going good. Gym's going good. People are going good. Everything's going great. So
that's awesome to hear. Yeah, it's very, very well deserved too.
Oh, thank you.
So
thank you.
That's what makes it, that among a million other things, that's what makes it so fucking kick-ass.
Yeah, thanks. I've worked hard, and it's always something that I kind of wanted to do. And I've had an opportunity to kind of do it in the past, but that just kind of fell through. Is a huge long story. I will not get into it, but that kind of fell through. And so when Kevin approached me about it, I was just like, let me think about it for a second. I was a little cautious going in, but he's never steered me wrong. He's never been anything but trustworthy and just a great all-around guy. And I never saw any red flags, anything like that. So I was like, let's dive in both feet. So we did it.
I have a very big special place in my heart for him and Jess.
Like, yeah, 100%. They're really amazing people.
Very much so.
Just amazing. So,
well, so like I said, last time we were here, we talked about like some of your childhood, a lot of your
adult life
and struggles and all the crap that you've endured and went through and came out a million times better in the end.
Absolutely.
So, but the last I was listening, you were like, there's just some stuff that we'll have to touch on a later time when we were talking about just basic childhood trauma, I think, in some form.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. There's a lot there to unpack.
Do you remember where we kind of briefly left off? You know me.
Kind of, but not really. I feel like I'm with you on this. Yeah.
I do remember you were saying that you're talking about how there's how many brothers and sisters?
So I have 8 brothers and 1 sister. Just recently found out that one of my brothers is transgender.
What,
Yeah, just very recently found out, like in December.
Wow.
And then he told me and didn't tell anybody else out of the family. And so he very recently, I think the end of May, he came out to everybody. And of course that was disastrous for him. It was good that he told, but come from a very religious family, and they are all still like very religious, most of them. And they did not, of course they were like, you know, we love you, we support you, all the things, but we don't support this decision because we feel that that's wrong. And so he immediately blocked them, took it as an attack, and just blocked and didn't hear anything else that they had to say, which was kind of sad because they had some good, insightful things to say and things about him and like personally, things that they loved about him, and they wanted him to know that they loved him, you know, through all of this.
Yeah.
And, you know, they may not think that what he was doing was right, but they still supported him. Because he's their brother and all of the things. And he immediately just went on the defense and shut it down. So that was kind of like a life lesson for me in a way that, you know, maybe not everything that comes out of somebody's mouth directed towards you is an attack. And I always knew this, you know, but sometimes you kind of get on the defense a little bit.
I'm totally guilty of
that. You know, and it happens real fast. And it's a quick like, what? You know, and it was like, well, maybe I should hold that back and like actually listen to what people have to say. And it could be some constructive criticism, or it could be some love that they need to like somehow work around to get out, you know, which was kind of where they were. But so that's okay. I mean, it is what it is.
I hope that you and everybody else get to at some point in time say, you know,
say our piece. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I mean, no disrespect to your brother or any transgender, I feel like people have that right. It's their body, their choice, their life,
100%,
their feelings.
100%.
However, you also have to be mindful of the people that gave you life.
Right. And then also knew you as this person for 30 plus years.
Right. You have to expect that people are going to have questions and have their input and just kind of.
And need to kind of work it out on their own way as well.
Right.
You know, you can't, like, it took him 30 some odd years to get to this point. He can't expect them to understand with a text message.
Exactly.
In 5 minutes. Too. Yeah. Like, you can't expect that to happen.
No.
So, other than that, you know,
that's a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot. But, you know, of course, they don't know any of the, I like to say that they don't know of any of the trauma that I went through as a child, and hopefully that they don't.
Your parents?
Yeah, well, no, they don't. They didn't believe me, and we'll get into that. But none of my siblings, I think, ever went through anything like this, so that is a plus for me. And then they don't know that I went through this either. So, you know, being able to understand where my brother was coming from on this whole traumatic experience for himself, I think like my personal experience has opened up my eyes and have empathy towards other people that are going through what they deem as an emotional traumatic experience. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they don't have that. I don't think that they have that capacity for that quite as well as I do. If that makes sense.
No, 110%.
Okay, I was like,
some people are not
trying to get.
Some people are not as emotionally and mentally strong as others, I guess you can say. Just
100%.
Same thing goes as the physical. I think it is no different when it comes to the mind, heart, and soul. Like
100%.
some people can just tolerate more, you know?
Yeah.
And whether they have a breakdown later or not, that's whatever. But
we have lots of those.
Do you think that did your brother, do you think that, did anything happen to him when he was a child that maybe, or do you think this is just a life
listen,
choice?
I hope not. I hope, I pray not. But I don't know. I don't know if that's something that he's just held in and it's impacted him in this way. Or if it's just something that he's felt throughout all the years that he was actually, supposed to be or meant to be a female, so I was like, well, I mean, he's going through the HRT, he's going through all the hormone replacement stuff, all of that stuff.
Oh, wow.
He's been going through that for like, I think he made his 6-month milestone like a week or two ago on that. So he sends me like updated photos. I'm the only one that I know of in the family that he still communicates with.
Aww.
So I take that like very like seriously.
Yeah, and I think that's important because
absolutely it is. I would not. I feel like he needs somebody in the family that accepts him for whoever he decides that he wants to be in life, and doesn't judge him for his choices that he makes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yes, certain choices that you make might not be the right choice, but I'm not going to judge you for that, for making that choice, because we all have to make choices in our life, and we've all made the wrong one at some point in time.
And we are going to make more.
And we're going to make more. Exactly.
Humans,
so I can't sit here and hold, a grudge at him or judge him for something when I know that I've done that, or if not worse.
Right.
So.
Well, do any of your brothers and sisters know about any of trauma that you've experienced?
No. Mm-mm.
And your parents, you said your parents do.
Well, so let's start this story. Okay. Let's start it out. So when we lived in Florida. We lived in a little suburban neighborhood, little 3-bedroom. I want to say it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, on good size acreage of land, not big, probably a 1/4 acre or whatever, but the backyard emptied out into a protected swamplands. So we had couple acres worth of swamplands to run around in as kids.
Wow.
We were jumping over alligators, and we were banana spiders this big. We were kudzu vines, grow little potatoes on it, and we'd hollow out spots, and we'd take the potatoes and have potato wars. Yeah, as kids we were wild. Okay, wild.
You had me at the jumping over the big giant spiders. I was like, that's gonna be an automatic no for me.
Yeah, we as kids you don't have any fear,
right?
Climbing trees, all the things. I was a huge tomboy. I grew up with brothers. I was 9 before my sister was born, so you know what I mean. It's I was just a tomboy, and I love that for you.
Yeah, I've always been afraid of bugs, but turtles, snakes. I was animals, anything in general. I was basically a little boy when I was a kid.
My mom would be like, "Quit kissing the frogs," and I'd be like, "Put down my babies." She's like, "You're disgusting."
That is so
I
cute.
was I collect frogs. I put little lizards on my ears. I'd have little chickens because we had chickens, and my mom was like, "You are a weird child." I'm like, "I know."
I love it.
I love being
and
a
I love
anyway.
You. I think that's freaking
so
awesome.
We live next door to this. Their last names were Brown, if I remember correctly, and they had 2 kids. Shane was my older brother's age, so he was about 4 or 5 years older than me, and Mandy was a couple years older than me, so I was the youngest of the group. So it was Shane, my brother, Mandy, and myself would play around all the time, right? About the age of 7, Shane got very handsy, and basically would molest me on the daily.
And this was your neighbors?
This was our neighbors. And so I took to hiding in the shrubs. We had azalea bushes that would like line our house, like big, huge azalea. But azaleas are everywhere in Florida. They're like these huge bushes, real thick, real dense, and they grow like big, huge, like red or purple buds on them. And they like, they're beautiful. But they grow like super fast and they're massive, right? So I would hide in them all the time, and he would come find me and he would pin me behind the azalea bushes and basically either molest me, like touching, groping, or actually rape me as a child. So from the age of 7 to 11, when we moved from the state of Florida, that happened quite often. I didn't, maybe not the daily at first, but then it kind of progressed to being slower and slower after that. I think he kind of lost interest, but his sister would help him. His sister would join in as well. It was always like real quick, real fast while my brother was gone doing something else, you know? Or if he'd go inside for something, and then it would happen. And then, so there was one day, we were at my grandma's. We used to do Sunday dinners at my grandma's all the time. And
that's
is
my
that
microphone.
me? Is that me?
No, it's probably mine. Ah.
Anyway.
Okay.
It's all good. It's all good. I just didn't want to like.
No,
okay,
you're
good. Okay. So anyway, dinner's at my grandma's, and my cousin and I were really, really close. My cousin Kendra and I were super, super close. And there was one night we had gotten into some stuff at my grandma's house, and we were a total wreck. And we used to always, my parents used to bathe us kids at my grandma's house. And they were like, okay, before we go home, all the kids have had baths. They'll fall asleep on the way home. We can just unload them, throw them in the beds. That would happen all the time. So my cousin and I were actually in the bathtub, and I was explaining to her and showing her what was happening to me. And my mom her mom came in the bathroom. We were at my grandma's. She had this chocolate marble, deep, she still does to this day, chocolate marble. It's a garden tub that was recessed into the bath, and then like you could sit in it and look out, and there was like a courtyard in the bathroom with like a sliding glass door, so you could see a courtyard that went adjacent to their bedroom. Oh, wow. Like their house is beautiful. Like it's beautiful and it's stunning, and there's like statues all in the courtyards, like cherubs and stuff like that. So we're in like, okay, back to the story. We're in.
But you have to give people, you're giving us the visual detail, because I'm picturing the house and everything.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. It's stunning. Like when I tell you that she collected antiques for the last, 70 years, she collected like the glassware, the statues, the gold, rich. And so we're in her bathtub, and I'm like showing her and talking to her about it. My aunt walks in, and she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I was showing Kendra what Shane does. And she immediately left and went and got my mom and got us both out of the bathtub. And then I was in big trouble. I got my ass whooped for it, apparently. I wasn't supposed to be talking about it. They did not believe me. Then I was like, I swear. And so we went home. The very next day, my parents were like, we're beating on their door. We're going to ask them. So they asked, and of course he denied it. He was like, no, I don't know what she's talking about, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, my kid's a good kid. I remember it to this day, standing out there like, oh shit, I'm going to be in so much trouble. Like, just knowing, and he's eyeballing me because I've ratted him out now, and he knows.
I would have been, even as a kid, I would have been so mad, because there's nothing in this world that angers me more than when I am not only telling the truth and somebody doesn't believe me, but if I'm getting hurt on the other hand, I wouldn't believe, like, I can't imagine.
Like, why would I make that up? Like, how could I make that up? I was 7. I was 7, 8. What did I see anywhere that would have led me to know that this is something that adults do, or that this is something that is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and when you're a child, you don't think, because children don't have, for the most, they have the innocent little tricky, they don't think true to be a manipulative person, right? So they wouldn't, or even just, they don't. So
it's not like I'm thinking of something to get him in trouble. Like, why would I think of that? Like, my parents were so religious, we didn't even watch TV. We watched baseball, and we were able to watch Family Matters on Friday night.
So you see,
like, that's it. Like, what am I watching, or where did I see it? We were homeschooled. I never went to public school.
I can't fathom, like, as an adult, if my child said that, I would, like, literally be running down all the things to be like, out, pros, whatever you have to do
Right.
to be like, well, where would she see that to
Right.
say that?
Right.
So it's good.
So I got in trouble. He denied it. His parents denied it. Blah, blah, blah. It made it worse for a little while. It made it more like he would pick on me and like hurt me unintentionally, to like walk by and punch me in the arm, or like knock my head into the tree as we walked by it or something like that. It became a little bit more abusive. So at 11, when we moved, I was like, thank God we're moving to Tennessee. Like, I'm going to get away from this creep,
I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah. And so that was what, 3-4 years of that, like off and on, like nightmares, couldn't sleep at night terrors, thinking I heard things. My parents were like, I don't know, it's just a phase she's going through. I don't know. Like, I don't know how they did not know, or how they did not believe me. I don't know.
I am always up my kid's ass. Like, she's chilling in the dark. I'm like, are you sad? Are you depressed? What's wrong? She's like, oh my God, Mom. And there's times now where she's like, she won't lay in the dark because she started me too. I'm like, first of all, it's bad on your eyes. Second of all, it bothers me, so please don't do that. Yeah. She's like, whatever.
Just turn on a nightlight. Just turn on some sort of light.
Like, I am constantly I don't know. And I get every parent's different. And honestly, if I had 6 kids, I can't say that I would be as intuitive with all of them, because
there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's
so
a lot.
I'm trying to just sit here and put my myself in a perspective from your parent, and I'm just like,
I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't. I haven't been able to, over the years, been able to figure out why. But I never brought it up again. I've never talked to my mom about it. I've never talked to my dad about it. I kind of just tucked it away and was like, well, what's done is done. Obviously, they don't believe me, so it doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep it to myself, and we're just going to keep rocking. We're just going to keep living. Like, what else can I do? So I got very good at, I always struggle at saying this, compartmentalizing, things.
Same with when I say manipulate my kids.
Yeah, it's like, I struggle. I really have to think about it when I say it. Otherwise, I really think that like the PTSD from that would be terrible. I tell people that this stuff has happened to me. Of course, this happened a very, very long time ago. But
I don't mean to interrupt you, but like, whether that happened 2 years ago, or I feel like the fact that it happened is terrible, and I'm sorry that it happened to you. That shouldn't happen to anybody. And sadly, I know it does, but also the fact that it happened to you so young.
Yeah.
And on top of everything, nobody that is supposed, you know what I mean? Your family is like your, and they didn't believe you like
they
that.
didn't. No, never did. And my cousin and I weren't allowed to take baths together anymore. And that was really upsetting, because we love bath time. You know what I mean? When you're 7 or 8 and you get to like hang out with your best friend in the bathtub full of bubbles.
Yeah,
me
and my
sister chocolate bathtub.
We took baths together till we were like 5 or 6, and finally we were like, my mom was like, I think you guys, I think we were maybe 6 or 7.
We were probably too old to be taking baths together, but you know what?
That's what happened when you were kids. And,
Back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s.
No.
Good times.
Good times.
Well, so did you ever, and I hope not, but did you ever experience any other type of...
I have, yes. Yeah, unfortunately. When I moved out, and of course, I always thought that anytime that anything like this happens to it doesn't matter what gender you are, male, female, it doesn't matter. Like, you're always gonna blame yourself for it. I was in the wrong place. I shouldn't have been hanging out with them. I put myself in, the wrong situation. I wasn't aware of my surroundings, all the things, right? Like, I shouldn't have been doing that. Like, it's always going to be your fault. No matter what people say, like, oh, it's not your fault. In your mind, it's always going to be your fault. And no matter what anybody says, and even though you know that it's not your fault, you are still going to think that it's your fault. Like, I know for a fact, like, no decent dude on this earth should take advantage of a drunk girl, or should rape her, or should treat her anything less than, like, this is my drunk little sister and I need to make sure that she's safe, right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody. So I know for a fact that that's not my fault. That's their fucked up mindset, and, whatever's in their heart, being an evil person, whatever, a horrible human being. That's on them, and that's not on me. I should be I should be able to go for a run at the early morning hours and not be afraid for my life. You know what I mean? Like, we should be able to run at night and not be scared, not have to take mace on me, or you know what I mean? Or arm myself when I go walk my dogs. But the reality is that you have to constantly, as a female, you have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to make sure that you are constantly safe at all times. And when I was younger, I did not. I was not that type of person.
You didn't.
I didn't know.
No.
You know, and so I take everybody as face value. I don't want to blame being homeschooled for that, but coming out into the world as a very naive person.
It's a culture shock.
It was 100% a culture shock. I had no idea that there were people that were going to disrespect me in that type of way. I had no idea that there were people that were going to take advantage. I didn't think like that, so I didn't think that other people did, you know?
Yeah.
And growing up in a very sheltered home, I didn't know that that was a thing, you know? We didn't watch the news. We didn't, like, so seeing that happen in the world wasn't something that I was privy to, you know?
Yeah.
So, moved out of the house, hanging out with a bouncer from a local bar that I knew, and his buddies. And I was living in a little 2-bedroom apartment underneath of my old flower shop job. And I had a roommate. It was my next door neighbor's older brother. They owned the dairy chef in town. So I was like hanging out with them all the time, partying, whatever. And he came home finding the two of them with me in my bedroom. And he basically pulled them off of me and kicked them out and basically saved me. I wasn't aware of it. I had no idea because I was passed out. He told me later, he was like, listen, like, we need to have a conversation. So he told me what happened to me, and I can't imagine what that was like for him.
Yeah.
And how he found me. And he's like, I really think that we need to, like, not party so much and not drink so much and, like, only do that with people that you, like, he had an adult conversation with me, like, we need to not do that with people that you don't really know, you know. And I was like, he was okay, you know, he's being the older brother, that, you know, he was being that older person for me, and, you know, kind of talked some sense into me a little bit. And I was like, you're right, and, like, that was, I fucked up. And so it was like, he didn't really put that on me, but he let me know, like, hey, like, you going out and drinking with these guys and, like, riding in their car and doing all this stuff with them, thinking that you're friends. He's like, you're not friends. You didn't even know that one guy. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, that was his friend, so I assume. And he was like, yeah, you guys are dogs.
Let me tell you, I have had that happen to me, and I was belligerent. I'm sure I was mean. I was blacked out. I remember, like, I was asleep in a friend's car, and she was went inside to get something, but the car and stuff was still on. She claims that she locked it, and I'm not friends with this person anymore, but I woke up to a guy, like, trying to grope me, and I woke up, and when I tell you, like, I remember, like, the car door was open, and he was, like, leaning down and, like, groping. And I have natural reflexes, you know what I'm saying? I almost blocked this out until just now.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm like, I forgot that happened to me, but I have a really bad memory. But I was like, and I mean, I remember I pushed, and I kicked him in his fucking nuts, and he started screaming. He was like, you mother, and he started calling me. And by that time, because he was screaming and he heard me, I guess, because my friend was, like, parked outside of somebody's house. There was a party or something going on. I don't know if she was getting things, but I was just like, I just remember being like, I kicked him, and he started yelling. And at that time when he started yelling, my friend was apparently, like, like on the porch, like, walking out, you know, like, trying to leave. And she was like, that's when she was like, what is going on? I was like, dude, this guy was, like, trying to fucking grope me. I don't even, like, she was like, that's it, let's go. And then it was, it
makes me so, like, oh my God. So I can talk about myself all day long and be fine, but you talk about somebody else, I'm like,
I don't know.
No, you're good. You're good.
I did, like, I forgot about that.
That's crazy,
isn't it? Yes, and I think, now I'm gonna cry. I think I put it in the back of my mind because he, like, I remember him, like I said, doing something to my hair, and then, like, when he started doing this, that's when I kind of, like, woke up. So he, like, roped half of my boob, and I think I blocked it out because I'm like, I have a really bad habit of doing this. I'm like, you're fine.
Yeah,
you weren't
you're
sexually
fine.
molested.
Yeah, you're
you
okay.
Need to worry about
yeah,
the other girls
you're okay.
that,
yeah.
that, you know, have actually had something happen to them.
Yeah.
And because in my mind, I'm like,
it's still the same thing. It's the same thing.
I know, but I'm just like, God, men are so fucking
I know.
sometimes. And I'm not saying that women haven't done that, okay? But majority of the time, you don't hear about a lot of women, lesbian situation, raping people,
or molesting anybody.
I'm sure it happens, but no means no matter what gender you are. But
yeah,
some genders just understand it more than others.
Yeah, it's crazy how the mind will just like kind of like block things off when it needs to.
Right? I'm gonna start this again. Yeah. People are just all around shitty, and I'm really sorry that happened to you.
Thanks.
Like,
I'm really sorry that happened to you too.
Okay, that's why I feel like I'm going to toot my own horn, but that's just why we're fucking badass. Because we're like,
honestly, the things that you're able to overcome mentally and spiritually and like emotionally is just, we're such a resilient species. It's crazy.
I have found myself this afternoon, we were watching a show and some chick was having a baby. And then yesterday or the day before, we were watching like another show and I'm so random and a spaz and ADD. Like when I saw that, I was like, because the first show a few days ago, it was like intense. And I was like, chick's having a baby and she's going through hell. I'm like, women are so fucking badass. Like, and I'm like, we don't think about it because we just go through our day-to-day lives. Yeah. But what we do and what our bodies are capable of, and again, what our hearts, minds, and just everything that we do, I'm like, wow, we are pretty fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like, just
and we're still up, walking around, and we're still doing our life, going through the things that we've been through, and we're still treating people kindly. And you know, I can't speak for everybody, but I want to think that we're still treating people with kindness and love and respect, no matter what's been happening. You know, what happened to us as, you know, children, young adults, grown female. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you're still able to say, okay, that happened to me, but that, you know, doesn't make me a bad person. Like, I'm still me, who I am. Yeah. You know.
I mean, I have to say that to myself now. Sometimes when I fuck up, I'm like, okay, you did something, and it's not even, whether it's like an argument with a friend or my family member, my husband, whatever. I'm like, it was an argument. Like, it's not that deep. You're not a shitty person. Right. I'm very sensitive sometimes. I'm like, you need to get over it, Josie. But stuff like that, like, that would be hard to.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard for me to, as a child, you know, to understand why. As a more grown up, I, you know, saw that and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I understand that now. I understand why that happened. And looking back at it, you know, I hate that it happened to me. Hate that my childhood I went through that. But again, like, I feel like those experiences shaped me into the person that I am, you know, like, twisted my personality, no matter what it was going to be. I don't know what it was going to be, but twisted it into something a little bit more cynical, a little bit more
fantastic, beautiful, and amazing.
Yeah, all those things.
100%.
But, you know, I think it definitely helped me be a little bit more able to process things in adulthood. You know, I don't have to sit there and get over emotionally things. I'm just gonna be like, we're gonna make it, we're gonna be fine, took it back, you're good, have a cry, we're good, we're solid, let's keep going, you know. And there's, you know, it comes down to that, well, what are you gonna do about it? And you're like, well, there's not much that I can do about it. I'm like, okay then, like, if there's nothing that you can do about it, why are we stressing?
I literally had something happen. It's over a stupid banking situation, and it's a big deal, but it's not. Okay, it's a big deal in the sense that long story short, I have two different businesses that are not communicating properly to each other. And it's affecting, like, I did a consolidation type thing, and this car place is just like, I think I'm gonna have to hire like legal counsel. And I'm like, this morning I was so stressed. I was like, finally, I'm like, you know what? This is so stupid. It's a Sunday, number one. Number two, is this really worth, like, there's nothing you can do about it. And there's nothing there's
nothing that you can do about it today.
Not today. And then tomorrow, just do what you got to do. Yeah. Stop, like, and I'm trying to really, like, because I have a tendency to, you said something about it earlier where, like, everything will just happen so fast, and my reaction, it's like I didn't have time to process my thought for
Right.
that
Yeah.
exact moment.
Yes.
I'm like, I just,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
wanna do that.
Yeah.
Brady can tell you something.
And that my husband bears the brunt of most of that for me.
Yeah, I think it's
Like,
just.
"Blah!" And then I'm like, oh, my bad.
I think some of that, and I don't mean this as a bad or negative comment, but I think sometimes that's just part of being a woman.
It is. It is. And then I attribute it to as, you know, going through like perimenopause and like that whole, like we talked about that too, right? Like I can't remember words. It's hard for me to form sentences sometimes. Like the brain fog is crazy. You know, I don't sleep that well. Like hot flashes, like happening, like freaking sweat and drip.
Tit sweat coming down. I'm like, when
I'm
did
like
that
rolling
start?
off my stomach, like arm. Yeah, I'm like, what is happening? Waking up in like a puddle of sweat, but I'm freezing. I'm like, what is happening to me?
I don't feel like I know who I am sometimes
And
anymore.
honestly, and the ADD is kicking in too. Like I'm like squirrel, and like one conversation the next, and then I'm like, oh, I can do this, and on my way to do that, I'm gonna do this, and then oh wait, then I'm like this, and then I forget my original thing that I was gonna do, and before I know it, I'm 5 tasks deep into something else, and then Josh comes in and says something to me, and I'm like freaking snap. And he's like, what? And I was like, I don't know. Like, my stress level's just like, I can't take it anymore. I'm like,
the exact same thing. I'm like, I'm just overwhelmed right now. I just need
stimulated to the max.
Like that. And sometimes for me, that it really is, it's all I need is just, I just need, and Brady knows this, my husband, like I am just have so much going on, but I also function really well in high movement, high fast pace. I would go crazy if I didn't have things going on in my life. If that makes sense. Like,
you'd be bored as hell.
I like to stay busy, and I'm a social person, but then I also am like, I just need to hit the brakes first.
Yes, 100%.
Reset.
I'm like, this day, I'm not leaving my house. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to look at my phone, like, only for my Kindle. I'm not responding to messages.
Yes.
Like, I'm cutting everything off.
I do need to do the whole put my phone, like, I have gotten, like, a lot better where, like, when I'm at work, when I'm bored, because you used to try to just be like, but now I'm like, just find something. There's got to be something else here, you know, which obviously there always is. But I'm like, and then what else can I work on something, like, for my podcast and on the computer or whatever. But I do need to be, my kids have been telling me, like, you need to really just sit in silence. And at first I'm like, you need to just mind your business.
Get away
from
me.
Then I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? They might actually be onto something.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of sit in silence. It doesn't have to be for a long time, 10, 15 minutes, and just kind of, I don't know. Not everybody's the same, though. I'm just so ADD to sit in silence. I'm like, I need the TV or music.
It's very hard. It's very hard. My drive is generally in silence. So if I'm driving to or from work, I don't, unless I'm like really into a podcast series or something, it's generally silence. No music, no nothing. Because that's the only time that I can be alone with my thoughts and have something to focus on, which is the road. Without like picking up my phone or having like something going on around me. It's just me in the car driving, me and my thoughts, and that's it. And then if I can't be alone with my thoughts, that's when a podcast goes on. I'm like, no, I can't stress it. I
cannot today.
I cannot today. I need to take my mind off of things. I'm just going to plug in my murder podcast, a serial killer.
And just, I
feel so much better when I get out there.
She did it. I know it.
She 100% did it.
Because she didn't have de-stressed on.
No, that's what it is. She just snapped. God Lord.
I will ask you this. I want to ask you this before we depart.
Before we run out of battery juice.
Yes, seriously.
Okay.
What's the one thing that you would say to go back and say to your younger self and or any maybe woman that has gone through or will go through something like that in the future?
Shit, that's crazy. That's a good question. I would say to my younger self to keep your chin up. That is only going to last for a little bit. And the pain isn't always going to be there. You're going to be happy one day. And then I would say to any woman that's going through that no matter what you tell yourself, you're wrong. Like if you're blaming yourself for it, you're wrong. Like, okay, you put yourself in a bad situation. That still isn't your fault. Like that's you were having drinks with somebody. That could happen to it. Like you should be allowed to go have drinks with somebody.
Yeah.
You should be allowed to walk down the street by yourself. You should be allowed to stay in your house, be comfortable by yourself without having to worry about somebody breaking in and hurting you. You know what I mean? Like, none of that is your fault, no matter how many times you tell yourself it is. And like, you're still beautiful, you're still loved, you're still going to be happy. And the emotional damage and the mental damage that you have, I hate to be cliche, is going to make you stronger eventually. Not right now. You will. Time heals all wounds, and you will get over it at some point in time in life.
I freaking love you, Sam.
I love you too, Jessie.
You are the... I love having you on here. I love seeing you at the gym. I love just everything about you.
You're amazing.
Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing.
you for having me on.
It's something that's so personal. I appreciate it.
It's I was definitely worried about, you know, I've only told a few people in my life, you know, that, and every time I do, they're like, no way, you know, they almost don't believe me again. I'm like, you know, it doesn't define me. It's not who I am. I don't carry that around with me everywhere. It's tucked back in there, yeah, but it's not forefront in my mind. You know, I think about it every once in a while. I replay those little images of being a little girl, like the things that I do remember, the little snippets. But, you know, it doesn't make me...
Well, you have definitely made it, let that and make you into something just fantastic.
Yeah.
You've definitely
Thanks.
Own your demons.
Yeah.
You slaughtered them up.
No, that's a very accurate thing to say.
It's my kind of my new thing.
Yeah. The demons are definitely there, and, you know, it's definitely, I've learned to live with them. I've become friends with them, and I've kicked some of them out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think just as long as acknowledging that they exist. Because
some are still there and some will always be there.
Yeah.
But the majority of them have no space in my life. So, but.
Well, I'm glad that you're here.
Thanks. Me too. Thank you.
I love you, Sam.
Thanks, Jessie. I appreciate it.